Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, it's going to be well over 100 degrees here in Texas. That's why we invited a leading expert on smart buildings and energy efficiency on the show. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, anytime the temperatures get over 100 degrees here in Texas, we all worry about the power grid. We remember what happened a year or so ago during the winter storm. But the power grid is being maintained and has become more efficient because of people like Eric Chernik, who's in my studio right now. He's the CEO of Building Controls and Solutions. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, so I know you're not getting a call from the governor anytime soon, and I don't want to exaggerate your role, but you help a lot of commercial buildings become more efficient. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Building Controls and Solutions, we're a value-add distributor in this building automation space for commercial buildings. So we're working with contractors, we're working with end users. So some of our customers are local school districts, universities, hospitals, churches. We do a lot of work with the Church of Latter-day Saints out in Salt Lake City and their temples all around the world in figuring out how to control their space, whether it's HVAC, heating and air conditioning, whether it's lighting, whether it's security systems. So how do you efficiently and effectively manage the space to really help conserve energy?
And we all think about smart homes, but you're working with smart buildings, and these buildings use a lot of electricity, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then you think about a maintenance manager that's managing 14 buildings or 100 buildings, and they're trying to create some consistency and effectiveness with that comfort space for their employees or their guests or school children, whoever it might be that's using that space, or this building we're in right now. Property managers are trying to figure out how to keep the space conditioned properly and keep costs down and use the right amount of energy.
Tell us your journey. How did it begin?
So I've been in business-to-business distribution for 25 plus years. I've spent a lot of my years at Grainger, which is a big distribution company, a large hardware store basically for commercial customers, contractors. That's migrated to working in aviation parts and supplies, truck parts and supplies, and about 6 years ago, I joined Lennox International here locally in Dallas to learn about HVAC. And now I'm learning about a niche of HVAC in controls. Our company is owned by a private equity firm down in the road in Fort Worth, Texas, Luther King Capital Management.
And you are well known in your industry. You keep getting these major awards. We're going to put one of them up on the screen, and you get this year after year, don't you? The Honeywell #1 systems distributor.
So yes, Honeywell is one of our main manufacturers. We also work with Johnson Controls and Belimo and Siemens and Schneider. And Honeywell has recognized us as their distributor of the year across all of North America in terms of providing extra help to the end customer. Manufacturers can't deal with all the technical support and all the solution solving, and so the value add part of who we are is providing the value add services, technical support, training, and we're training contractors constantly. So contractors are the main folks that walk into our buildings to pick up product. Just like a Grainger. They walk into our building and purchase product, and then we solution solve with them for their projects.
Eric, one of the reasons I invited you on the show, I'm really impressed at how aggressive you guys have been throughout COVID, and now even as we hear murmurings of a recession, you are in growth mode.
We are. So you heard me talk about being a value add distributor and providing those extra services while other companies, our peers, were retrenching or laying off people, we were investing more in technical support, inventory, building our digital channel. So we were doing market expansion kinds of things, new geographies, new customer segments, new channels to market, new territories and geographies. So we, it's always been my mode of market expansion, of going after, new markets, doing excellent work with our existing customers. We've been expanding organically by building some new things, but then we've also been building through mergers and acquisitions and teaming up with some great entrepreneurs in other parts of the country. We bought a company last year in Boston, the year before down in San Antonio. We continue to find companies to team up with us, and now our family of building controls and solutions is 7 times larger than it was 3 years ago.
And you've gotten the media attention. We've got an article from the Dallas Business Journal we'd like to put up on the screen. I got to ask you, it's wonderful to get this kind of recognition, but you had to be somewhat nervous working in the commercial office space during COVID because nobody knew what was going to happen if people were indeed going to return to the office. What was your thought process?
Sure. It does help to be diversified, and so that's my advice to other, small, medium, large businesses is stay diversified. And so you heard me talk about different geographies. And so what was happening in Texas was a little different than what was happening in Boston, a little different than happening in Salt Lake City, Utah. Think about the full scope of ways you can do business with the contractors and end users. So think about service and maintenance, think about retrofits, think about build and spec, buildings. And so as long as you're diversified, you can weather the ups and downs of the economy a little bit. We added some new product lines to really, provide some more tools for our sales team to team up with the contractors.
And in the end, you're saving people money, so you're always going to be in vogue, aren't you?
Absolutely. And there's even some states around the country that do a really good job on with energy rebates. And so we team up and we broker that that cost savings with our contractors, with the end users, working with the states, like the state of Utah, for example, with rebates back to make those projects almost break even, out of the gate.
And every company is only as good as their people. You're very proud of the team you've assembled. Talk about that.
I am. We view people as our most important asset in the company. And so as we've been hiring new people, as we've inherited folks from companies we've merged with, it's really important that people feel part of building something, the impact they make. We conduct monthly town hall meetings, and we're very transparent about the information we share, how the business is doing, our ups and downs, where we're investing. We have this cool Above and Beyond award where peers recognize peers, and they win gift cards. So they recognize their peers for doing cool things about the business. Everyone in the business is tied to an incentive program in the company, from warehouse to customer service to sales. It's pretty neat, and we've had very high retention. Really no turnover.
That's very impressive. Any problem getting new employees to join the team?
Yes, it is. It's hard in our in the economy right now, finding really good people and finding telling. We like to tell our story, and once we tell our story and references, people do come. But it's hard to find very technical people. Our space is fairly technical, and working with contractors, providing consultative advice to mechanical contractors that have been in the industry for 30 years. So it is hard. We do find people in trade schools. We do and ramp people up, or we find people that have been in the industry maybe as a technician themselves and want to leave the technician route and be more of a salesperson and a helper or consultor to others.
Sure. We want to show a page on your website and give you a chance to brag on your featured vendors, because this is kind of a who's who in your industry, isn't it?
It is. We've, over the years, built up and nurtured a lot of relationships with, we call them our strategic partners, and we buy products from maybe a couple hundred manufacturers. These are probably our highlights. These are certainly our highlights of the ones we work most strategically with. So we team up with them and figure out with the manufacturer, with us, with the customer, how we're going to create that best solution. Honeywell, Johnson Controls, Siemens, Schneider, Belimo, those are some of the big names in this industry, and they really appreciate what we're doing to support to grow the market.
We're almost out of time, Eric, so I want to give you a chance to give some advice to other business owners as we approach what looks like a recession. Is it time to get aggressive, play it safe? What's your advice to other business owners?
You might be asking a biased person, because I'm always an aggressive person that's always looking to expand markets and grow things, figure out the right, return. You got to look at return on investment, but don't look at it just as next week, next month. Do think about next year and what you're building for several years, and go expand the market, products, customers, channels, geographies. There's a whole bunch of ways to grow things. And so my biased answer is I'm a growth guy, and we're going to be aggressive.
Awesome. That's a great way to end this segment. We're going to go ahead and put your website on the screen, and that's buildingcontrolsolutions.com. Eric Chernik, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeff.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.